club for a long time, but I guess from the club's point of view, it still represents quite good business, doesn't it?
Well, he's been a superb servant, hasn't he, for this club for the last 4 years, and you never like to see your established players leave, but these things happen in football. We're building a new squad now. We've already signed 6 players. We're probably going to have another 2 next week at least. So by the start of pre-season, John will have a very strong squad available, and that'll be topped up by further incomings during July. So it's quite an exciting period. But I do understand how supporters will feel, because at the end of the season we only had 5 players: Kyle, Joe, Connor, Josh, and Andy Drury on our books. So I say we've signed the 6 already, and there'll be 4 more to come. So it just happens to be it was a deal, I think, that was good for everybody. I mean, Kyle obviously, eventually wants to move back up towards Sheffield.
He's just bought a house up there as well.
Yeah, I believe so, and he's a Broad Yorkshireman, isn't he, when you talk to him. So I can understand that, and people might question, well, MK Dons, isn't in towards Yorkshire. That's true, but it's north of the M25, so from a travel point of view, he can go up to Sheffield in an hour and a half anyway. And he felt he wanted a new challenge. MK Dons were an excellent club. They've been a delight to deal with over a period of time since this has been bubbling for the last week. And I say we wish him well, but I just want to emphasise to supporters the fact that when it comes to transfer money and the money we'll be saving on Kyle's wages, that's all going to be ploughed back into our professional playing pot, which includes transfer fees, it includes player wages. And when you put it into context, when you look at our season ticket and match ticket income for a whole season, that only basically represents 45% of our total budget for our playing costs, player wages. So we're reliant on, directors in the past and an investor in Hong Kong who continues to support the club. And if it wasn't for the investor in Hong Kong who's already indicated he's prepared to put the best part of £750,000 in, but that money has to be spent on the main ingredient at any football club, and that's got to be providing a better football team, a squad of players capable of giving a good account of ourselves in Division 1, hopefully challenging for the playoffs, and that all costs money. But I think supporters are entitled to know, say, if you put it into context, your match income and your season ticket income only represents 45%.
Less than half.
Less than half. So we've got external funding coming from our investor out in Hong Kong, and supported by the directors, to give us a competitive budget. All the other side, what I call the business side of the club, has to break even. We've had to make redundancies over the last few months, which have been, unpleasant for those people concerned. We run a very tight ship, because all the money that we generate, if there is any surplus, the only thing we want to spend it on is making sure that on the pitch we're competitive and we've got a good squad that our supporters will be proud to come in, week out and see. And that's the aim. Players will come and go. Even at the big clubs, people like Chelsea, Frank Lampard's leaving. Ronaldo left Manchester United over a period of time. There is an attachment, and that's nice. It's the supporters' club, and they do get attached to players. And Kyle, we can't underestimate how important he has been. He did have a lengthy absence through an illness at the time, but he's come through that luckily, and we wish him well. He's been an excellent servant, but it's part of the business. We're going ahead now. I say there'll be another 2 signings hopefully next week, and probably another 6 on top of that by the middle of July, because we want to have a squad of around 18, 19 players. Loan players, they'll probably come in mid to late July anyway. So I'm quite excited by it. If you look at the squad that we're assembling now, and just taking into account the 6 new players we brought in, they're good professional players. They're going to take this club hopefully to another level, and that's what we all want. But football's the game of an opinion, and every supporter listening to me talk may not always agree. But the only thing that matters at any football club is that we have a competitive squad. And I think most fair-minded supporters, once I explain to them that we have two separate budgets, we have a business budget which we have to run the club on, which we have to break even at least, and possibly make a profit if we can. But on gates of 3,500, our professional playing budget, player wages and transfers, will still be, I think, in the top 10, probably top 12 in our division. So the money doesn't grow on trees, does it? So we sell a player, we buy a player, we increase our wage bill to bring other players in. It's all part of the pot. But be under no illusions that the money that comes in for Kyle will all go back into that transfer and player wage pot. It's not here to subsidise the business side. The business side we run on a professional basis to at least break even. But we're trying to get out of this division.
And the point as well, Michael, is I guess if we can attract more supporters, if the existing supporter base can persuade one or two more people in the town to come and watch the team and increase the match day revenue, that money can then be ploughed back into giving John the opportunity further down the line to strengthen the squad.
Yeah, because every penny of profit, there's nobody taking money out of this club. We competed last season extremely well again in our second season in Division 1, and we plan to do better this season. And we're going to have probably 15, 16 new players available to us, which I think the supporters like to see new faces coming in. But that's not to say at the expense of established players like Kyle. But on this one, it was a good deal for Kyle. It was a good deal for us. And I think MK Dons, in fairness, have acquired an established Division 1 central defender, and his personal situation, was that given the opportunity to speak to MK Dons, he grasped that, and it suits him. So they're all winners there. But we simply now move on. The phones are red hot, as you would expect this time of year, with agents talking to players, having medicals and things like that. But I just want to reassure supporters that this isn't a forced sale on us. It's good business, but that money, John and the board all consider, will be reinvested back in the squad. And when we start the season, with 15, 16 new players, we'll have a re-energised team, re-energised squad. And I'm certain there'll be some good times ahead of us.